Can we have everyone's attention, please? Appreciate it. First of all, we'd like to thank everyone for coming out this evening for Lenny. Before I start, I want to introduce the hard-working committee that put this affair together. Former Chief of Police, Village of Mamaroneck, Joe Del Bianco, Sally Roberts, Barry Cascarelli, Kathy Runahan, Agostino Fusco, and Sharon Hyder. Thank you all for this wonderful evening. Okay, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Fritz Falank. I'm the retired village clerk and manager of the Village of Portchester. And it gives me great pleasure, along with retired Chief Joe Del Bianco, to serve as Master of Ceremonies for tonight's dinner. 3 years ago, Lenny served as Master of Ceremonies for my dinner when I retired after 29 years from the Village of Portchester. So tonight it's my turn. I have been friends with Lenny since high school, and we both came from the same neighborhood in Portchester. I was village clerk in Portchester for about 4 years when I received a call from Lenny saying he saw an ad in the Daily Times for clerk treasurer's position for the Village of Mamaroneck, and he was interested. He asked me, what does a village clerk do? So I explained some of the responsibilities of the clerk's office and told him to apply for the job. I remember calling on then clerk treasurer, Joe Frioli, telling him that Lenny would be the right person for this position. The right choice was made, and tonight we honor Lenny for 28 years of dedicated service to the Village of Mamaroneck. A few things about Lenny. After his hiring, he was involved in many organizations. He served 4 years as president of the New York State City Clerk and Village Clerks Association, and in 1997 was named the New York State Clerk of the Year. He followed me on that. I was the 1996 Clerk of the Year. I broke him in right, guys. He was also one of the founders of the Westchester County Clerks and Finance Officers Association, and is a member of many community organizations in the Village of Mamaroneck. If you needed someone to help you, you could always count on Lenny being there. Although Lenny lived in Larchmont, he worked in Mamaroneck, his heart always belonged to the Village of Portchester. And his family and friends from Portchester are here tonight also to honor Lenny. Thank you guys for all coming. I don't want to get into a lot of stories about the escapades of Lenny and I. When we went to conferences and things like that, I think we'd take our retirement checks away from us. But I do want to start the program and keep it moving, and we want to make some presentations. Hopefully we keep them short and sweet. No reading of proclamations and whereas, and we've all been there before. So, but I still want to start by calling on number one, our New York State Senator, former mayor of the Village of Mamaroneck, the mayor who was on board when Lenny was hired, Susie Oppenheimer.
And you weren't kidding. When they would come up to Albany, it was the terrible twosome. But they were great lobbyists, and they made their case. I feel like this is a class reunion for many of us, particularly for me, because so many of you, I can't even begin to mention the names, but so many of you were so instrumental in moving my life in the direction in which it did go. And it's so lovely for me to be amongst you tonight and to see all of you. We all look exactly the same. We haven't aged a bit. But tonight is for Lenny. And one of the smart things I did in my life was appointing Lenny. And he became our clerk treasurer for about 22 years. And then he finally moved to village manager. I've been pushing him in that direction, I don't know how many years, but Lenny is the type of person that just commands the affection and respect from everybody he meets. because he treats everybody with kindness and respect. And he has been such a wonderful friend of the Village of Mamaroneck, not Dorchester, where is Fritz. But he has done so much, not just in his capacity, his official capacity, but also as president of the Lions and so many organizations that he's taken part in, and so many events that he's put himself in the middle of and done for us. So I'm going to be brief, but I just have to say we all owe a great deal, big thanks to Lenny. And because Lenny is who he is, he's leaving not only with our appreciation, but with the affection of everybody in this room. Thank you, Lenny.
Thank you, Senator.
There's a Senate proclamation.
Senate proclamation, not a proclamation, man. One for the wall. You know, Lenny and I used to have a standing joke. Who can serve as acting village manager more? I think we ended up in a tie before we both took the positions. What was it, 4 times, Len? 4 times each. Both Lenny and I served as village manager. He would call me on the phone and say, another one's gone, I got to do it again. And I would call him, say the same thing to him. But it was quite an experience. This time I'd like to call on our friend of ours, always at all the events, and a good friend of mine, our New York State Assemblyman, George Latimer.
Thank you very much, Fritz. I want to personally thank Fritz for bringing together this wide group of people. He has saved me literally hours of schmoozing. And I don't have to stretch out over the next month, back and forth between Chuck Strom and New Rochelle and Danny and Portchester to try to cover what you put in this room tonight. Lenny, we have a proclamation from the Assembly. It says the same thing as what the Senate proclamation says. It's the only time this month we've agreed on anything. It's for you. But I just want to say very briefly, because you're going to have a lot of people saying nice things. Just before I got here earlier tonight, I went to a wake of a person in Rye, who those of us in Rye know very well. And as I walked out, I thought to myself, what a tragedy it was that all of the side conversations we had around the perimeter of Graham Funeral Home was about what a terrific guy this person was. And so I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if he could have heard all of this? He could have lived to hear just what everybody was saying about what a great guy this gentleman was. And you do realize in life, you sometimes really don't get the chance to know how many people's lives you've impacted. But tonight, Lenny, you have that gift. You've been given an opportunity to look around a room like this and see people from the fire department, people from the police department, guys who are on the village board, guys who you knew growing up in Portchester, people you know from Larchmont, people who know Lynn from Larchmont Library. And you can look around and you can see the impact of your life here tonight, Lenny. And that how many people love you and respect you, people you've had arguments with, I'm sure, over the years, people who you walked out saying, damn Latimer, if he doesn't do what I tell him, But we're all here tonight to show you the respect that you've earned over a long period of time, and to also be with you. And that's better than any problem.
Thank you, George. You know, again, there was a lot of times when I would come to the Village Hall in Mamaroneck, and I felt at times, I should say, that I worked for the Village of Mamaroneck, knowing so many trustees, past trustees and mayors who I had the opportunity to meet through Lenny, and it was a pleasure knowing all of you from Mamaroneck. It's very similar to Portchester, tough job, and we're very happy to see that Mamaroneck keeps rolling like Portchester does. Okay, going along. The next person we'd like to call up is our Westchester County Legislator, Judy Myers.
Hi, Len. How many of you know what it's like when you really don't understand something that's going on, and whether it's a piece of legislation or what somebody's village board has just voted on, and you don't know who to call, and then you realize, oh, I know who I can call. I can just dial 777-7703 legislator, Len has been the go-to person to talk about cable television franchises, what it all means, to talk about flooding, grants, more flooding, how the emergency services are working with the county. Len has been the person, and I will sorely, sorely miss him, but I am so grateful that he is staying in Larchmont. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Now I'd like to call on representing the supervisor of the town of Mamaroneck, Steve Altieri, the town administrator, to say a few words to Len.
Thank you. I got enlisted just a little while ago, so I apologize, Lenny, if I'm not. But I do want to express the appreciation of Supervisor O'Keefe and the town board who are not able to be here tonight. Lenny, when Lenny became the permanent manager finally and wasn't interim, he joined a very special fraternity of public servants who care nothing more than make the quality of life better for all the residents in their communities. And in the last 2 years, Lenny and I have had the opportunity to work closer together than we had before. I've known Lenny, but we had worked together on the flooding program when we were all in that terrible day in April, and more recently we worked on a very special consolidation of services. And we've talked about that over and over again, but Lenny really helped us make it happen. And so I'm a little jealous of Lenny retiring, but at the same time, I'm very happy to have worked with him. So Lenny, thanks very much. I have a proclamation over there for the supervisor and the town board, but I'm not going to read it. Lenny, thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve. I said there were many people from Portchester here, and I'm very happy to introduce our Deputy Mayor, Dominic Ciccatelli, who would like to say a few words to Lenny.
Fritz, you did have more people at your party.
I think that they'll go back and forth with that for like the next 6 months. But it's like Portchester Day here. It's great to be here. It's great to honor Lenny. You know, I haven't dealt with Lenny a lot in my years on the board. But I'll tell you a quick story about when I met him. I met him at NICOM. And I was there with Fritz and some members of the board. And I think Lenny was telling a joke to Augie when Governor Pataki was speaking. And then I turned around and I saw who it was. And then I went out to meet Lenny more and got to know him. And him and Fritz showed me the ropes in NICOM and where the golf courses were, the shortcut to the track. And but all kidding aside, Lenny's always been a good friend to Portchester. He's a Portchester boy, as well as all the Verrastro. Still a very big name in Portchester, well respected. And Lenny, on behalf of the Portchester Board of Trustees and the Colangelos, all right, you got a lot of vowels in Portchester. But on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the Mayor and Village of Portchester, Lenny, we wish you a happy retirement and nothing but the best of health and luck in your future. God bless you.
I did get one note sent to my home, and I was asked to read it. He called me and said, please read this on my behalf. It says, Dear Lenny, a wiser person than me stated, a man who is straight, friendly, and useful may never be famous, but he is respected and liked by all who know him. The gathering of your friends proves the love and respect they have for you. I remember years ago when then Mayor of Mamaroneck, Susie Oppenheimer, called me and asked me if I knew you and whether or not the village of Mamaroneck would benefit hiring you as their village clerk. The decision to hire you was right. I am sorry I could not be with you and your family for your retirement dinner. Only poor health kept me from being with you. You certainly deserve being honored. I shall never forget you and Fritz Valanka, the two amigos. God bless you and good health in your deserved retirement. A retired Mayor Peter Arcelo, Portchester. This time I have to call up the present mayor of the village of Mamaroneck, Kathy Sabo.
thank you all for coming out tonight to show the love to Lenny. There may not be as many people here as were at Fritz's party, but we all love Lenny more, don't we? Okay, I just want to kind of set the tone here. Monday, January 19th, 1981. Let's think back. The teams playing Super Bowl 15 were set and bets were being placed on the Raiders and the Eagles. The Oscar buzz that year was about Raging Bull, Ordinary People, Robert De Niro, Coal Miner's Daughter, and Sissy Spacek. Do we all remember this? Everyone was singing along with the top hit of the year, Betty Davis' Eyes by Kim Carnes. On that day, most of the world was awaiting the inauguration of Ronald Reagan on the following day. Our focus as a nation was on the 52 American hostages that had been held in Iran for 443 days and counting. And finally, on that day, the announcement came that the United States and Iran had reached an agreement to free the 52 the very next day, right after Ronald Reagan took the oath of office. But January 19th, 1981 is more memorable in the village of Mamaroneck because that was a young Lenny Verrastro's first day on the job. Now let's put this into perspective, 28 years ago. 2 days after Lenny started in the village of Mamaroneck, the first Gullwing DeLorean rolled off the production line. Microsoft celebrated its 6th birthday. Windows wouldn't be invented for another 4 years. There were no such things as desktop computers, much less smartphones and iPods. In fact, CDs weren't even invented. People were listening to 8-track cassettes and cassette tapes. The Dodgers would beat the Yankees that year in the World Series. After the Yankees won the first 2 games at the stadium. Oh wait, scratch that one, that could be any year. Our youngest trustee, Joan Hofstetter, was in the 5th grade. Our second youngest trustee, Tom Murphy, was 20 years old, and he wouldn't tell me what he was doing. And Susie Oppenheimer was actually 5'11". Seriously, working for the same organization for such a long stretch is a major accomplishment of which Lenny and his family should be very proud. Everyone knows I love numbers, so I want to enumerate Lenny's accomplishments. He's been around so long he's survived 7 mayors. Too many trustees to count. 28 audits, 28 budget cycles, 9 floods, 5 managers, including your own. You survived that. 6 years as manager. Seriously, Len counts the street fair, the streetscape, and the consolidation and expansion of our senior programs to be among his greatest hits. He was especially motivated in the past 6 months to achieve the senior center consolidation because he's going to be eligible to join soon. Lenny is part of the fabric of Mamaroneck, and he will be sorely missed. He is universally known as a great guy. His patience, unflappable demeanor, steady personality, and good humor, unless we're talking about trees, has served him and the village well. I first met Lenny after I got elected in 2000, but I immediately felt like I had known him for years. He's just that way, friendly and open with everyone. Personally, I have enjoyed working with him, and I would trust you with my life, and I've told you that many times. And I will really miss seeing you every day. I'd like to introduce the current trustees who are serving on the board right now, and I'd like to ask them to join me in the presentation of a couple of gifts to Lenny from the village. Deputy Mayor Tom Murphy. Trustee Tony Pergola-Ryan. Trustee Joan Hofstetter. And Trustee Randy Rabinowitz. Now Lenny, I'm really sorry, but I actually have to ask you to come up and receive a few gifts from the village. This is a prerogative of being part of the village. First of all, we do have a proclamation. Hold on a second. I'm not going to read the proclamation, but it's the best looking one here. Sally Roberts designed it, so thank you, Sally. I just want to announce to those assembled that Lenny's first day of his retirement, January 31st, 2009, shall now and forever be known as Len Verrastro Day in the village of Leonard. And on behalf of the board, the staff of the village, and the entire residents of the village, we present you, you didn't want a plaque, with this token of our appreciation and gratitude, and a great platter. You can actually use that to serve food on. But I would discourage you from doing that. Food is good, and everyone knows that Lenny loves a good meal and loves a good glass of wine. So this is from the board. 2 weeks ago, I think it was in this very room, the Chamber of Commerce gave you a nice gift, a gift certificate to a local restaurant. Good idea. We've expanded it into a theme, Taste of Mamaroneck. And here is a gift certificate for brunch at La Provençale and dinner at Enzo's from the Board of Trustees. Thank you very much, Lenny.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees, Village of Mamaroneck. Before we just got a couple more, and then we're going to break for dinner, and then I'm going to turn the program over to former Police Chief Joe Del Bianco, who's anxiously waiting. Look at him over there. He was kind of nervous wreck. We were over his house doing table arrangements, and luckily his wife was there. I tell you, he was tough. But we enjoyed it. At this point in the program, I'd like to call up a dear friend. Lenny and I have known him for quite some time. He's doing a great job up in Albany for all of the state of New York. He's the executive director of the New York State Conference of Mayors. Lenny and I's dear friend, Peter Maidens.
I'll fast forward 4 years from 1981 that the mayor was talking about. 1985, I started at the Conference of Mayors, and I was told I had to learn municipal finance and how to run municipal governments. So I had no idea how to do it. I asked people, how can I best find out about doing my job? And they said, you got to talk to Lenny and Fritz. I'm like, all right. Well, I asked some more people, hey, I'm new here. What should I do? You got to talk to Lenny and Fritz. I actually thought it was one person. Everybody just kept saying Lenny and Fritz. I quickly realized they were kind of one person, but they were two very different people. Obviously very compatible, great guys. I've gotten to know both of them over the years. And Lenny, I wanted to bring a good gift for you tonight. I did bring a resolution from the Conference of Mayors. I will not read it. I thought a more appropriate gift, even though I couldn't come up with it, was a cure to your slice. But I have the same slice, so I couldn't help you in that regard. But on the way down, I was with Bruce Cadman from General Code Publishing. We were reminiscing about Lenny. And Bruce came up with a word about Lenny that he'd probably whack me on the side of the head if he was next to me right now for using it. But Lenny, believe it or not, is a real visionary. For our membership over the last 26, 28 years that you've been doing this, Lenny, we could have a dinner like this probably in 5 other places in New York State to get the same number of people. That's a tribute to Lenny, his vision, his understanding of municipal finance, municipal administration. He did it with class. He did it with a lot of modesty, but he knew what he was doing. He shared it with our membership. He became a friend of NYCOM, and he'll always be a member of the NYCOM family. I just want to wish him all the best in his retirement. Len.
Yeah, we had a few rounds on the golf course with Peter. Lenny and I took his money. He's a little sour tonight. Well, yeah, but like Peter manager said that, Lenny and Fritz. We were known as other things too, Lenny and Squiggy, Cheech and Chong. I learned every place we went. Okay, I just wanted, there's a couple of more, and then we're going to break for dinner, and we're right on schedule, believe it or not. I'd like to call on Rob Yamuter, Vice President of the Municipal Administrators Association. Rob? Right there. Right on top, right on top.
All right, down to 2 pages. It's not good to be a speaker right before dinner, but I'll be brief. Thank you, Fritz. Welcome, everybody. Lenny, this is a special night. Congratulations on your retirement from everybody. Before I recognize the many managers here tonight, who you worked with through the Municipal Administrators Association, or known as MAA, I want to take a moment to personally thank you for supporting me as your assistant village manager. Here's all the support I can get. You've demonstrated complete trust in me, a trust which I hope I did not abuse. It's been a pleasure working with you, working side by side, day in and day out, applying our trade for the public good. And if you look around, this is testimony to the work that you do. So look around and absorb it all. This is a great moment. You've always offered your experiences generously to all. I personally will miss you in your early morning sports wrap-ups. Go Giants, right? San Francisco. We'll talk about that later. As everybody here knows, there are some who start their retirement long before they stop working. No names. but not Lenny. In the 6+ years I have known Len, his idea of retirement was just to work a 40-hour work week. Maybe now you can, Fritz will let you. As Vice President of MAA, I'm honored to recognize the many public administrators, managers, and supervisors here tonight. I have a brief list, if I can just name them real brief. Thank you, Sharon. Can I? We have Paul Shue, Steve Altieri, who mentioned before, Dick Herbeck, Mike Ritchie, George Calvi, Chris Russo, Chuck Strom, Rich Schlingerling, our new village manager coming up at the end of March. Wish you best of luck. Any help we can do to help the transition prove smoothly, please count on us. Mike Blau as well. So thank you for coming, guys. I think that's table 24 for the most part. Yep. Lastly, as a member of the Board of Directors with PERMA, I would like to read a portion of a letter from Brent Wilkes, PERMA's president, as he could not be here tonight, so allow me just to take a paragraph out of this lengthy letter. It's all good. And I quote from Brent Wilkes, president. In addition to your professionalism, you brought good humor, character to your duties, all attributes that are important to surviving in local government for any length of time. Municipal governments throughout New York could certainly use more people like you, and I couldn't agree more. I have enjoyed working with you over these many years. I have no doubt that you will embark on retirement with the same zest and energy that you devoted to Mamaroneck. It should be a lot of fun. Signed again, Brent Wilkes, President of PERMA. Just in wrap up real quick, you've become a household name in my household, officially known as Uncle Lenny to my wife Jen and my 2 boys, Josh and Ben, who love your stories and the books through the years. And again, thanks, keep them coming. Bottom line is, we wish you the best for a long and happy retirement. Best of luck. Thank you.
Okay, just one more. Yeah. Okay, we're back again. If we could have your attention, we'll do the second half of this program and get Lenny up here. You know, can I have your attention, please? You know, when we planned this party for Lenny, we said, well, you know, I had to reciprocate, as I said before. Guys, can I have your attention? said before, I had to reciprocate because Lenny was the master of ceremonies at my retirement dinner. But I said, look, Lenny, I'll just do half of it because it's really a Mamaroneck function. Somebody from Mamaroneck should be doing this or helping out. And it gives me great pleasure at this time to bring up to the podium, we'll take the program the rest of the way, former police chief of the village of Mamaroneck and executive director of the Westchester County Chiefs of Police, your own man, Joe Del Bianco.
Thanks, Fritz. It's a pleasure to be your assistant. I'm glad that you asked me, and it's a pleasure to serve you. The best, Fritz. Fritzer. I have to tell you a little story about Fritz, though. Fritz has got a place down in the Pro-Am in the PGA in West Palm Beach. And I, along with Lenny, Al Perrin, we went down there for a week. And those guys are all, they're all golfers. And I was a police chief, and I was not a golfer. But I hung out at the pool, but they played golf. So one day they're riding by with their cart, and they pull up by the pool, and they see me laying there, lounging there, with all kinds of nice-looking people around the pool. And so that night we went out for dinner. We all met for dinner. The next morning, Lenny says, "I'm not playing golf. I'm going with the chief tomorrow." So that's one incident. Then another time, I always travel, so I went out to Singer Island, and I told these guys, I says, I found this place. What a deal. They have a store out there. I said, get all kinds of stuff, reasonable. And Fritz comes out there, he says, so Fritz says, I'm not playing golf either, I'm going with the chief. So now Lenny and Fritz come with me, we go to this store, and Fritz says, man, look at this bathing suit. Look at this bathing suit. He says, isn't this nice? He goes and tries it on, and it's red and yellow stripes. And I looked at him, I says, holy Jesus, as you look like Ronald McDonald. So that was several of the adventures that I've had with these guys. Lenny, he came in 1981 for the village, and I already was there from 1952, so, what can I tell you? So, since then, Lenny and I have been friends. First, we started off as fellow workers. He was up in the clerk treasurer's office, and I was, I guess I was a sergeant or lieutenant. Lieutenant, okay, thanks, Len. It was such a long time ago, I can't remember. And anyway, we've been real friends, and before we were just, friends, but now our families became friends, and we shared a lot of hard times together with our families, and you with us, and we with you, and we continue to be very close friends. And I'm not going to continue with stories about me and Lenny, because the proof of the point is that you're all here because of Lenny. You're all friends of Lenny's. So it's needless for anybody to try to prove who's what. But one thing I want to say is, this is a non-political affair, because we got all big-time Democrats, big-time Republicans, and you know what? Me and Lenny served all of you. And, we all have our own opinions. And I have to remember this. When I was the chief and Lenny was the clerk treasurer, we used to sit next to each other at the board meetings. Susie and Paul, you're here, right? Anyway, we used to sit and we used to sit next to each other, and Lenny would always send me a note and slip it to me. He would always send me and would say, man, when is he gonna stop talking? And I'd reply saying, well, they're the usual pain in the, what. So anyway, we shared a lot of great times together, Lenny. Anyway, before I go on too long with my thing, I have to say this. Senator Oppenheimer and Trustee Beth Hofstadter, ex-Trustee Beth Hofstadter, believe it or not, there's two left that appointed me as chief. and that was those two. And thanks a lot. Again, I often thank you. Okay, my introductions are going to take place now, but I would really appreciate if you don't clap after every name because it doesn't mean a thing. So all we want you to do is to save it, because it just takes a lot of time. We don't have. Let's not waste time because I was talking to my chiefs. We were at a chief's retirement dinner, and we almost died at that retirement dinner. Things went on and on and on. And we want to just finish it, all right? Okay. So anyway, I'm going to make introductions. No clapping. At the end, if the people I introduce want to stand up, I'd appreciate that. And we'll all clap hands for everybody that we meet. Okay? Fair enough? All right. Off we go. Okay. Although I didn't see her, I hope she's here. Liz Feld, Mayor of Larchmont. She here? Hey, look. Let me get something straight first.
We're used to clapping.
We're clappers.
We clap all the time.
What the hell is this? Vaudeville tonight or what? Hey, what is this? A vaudeville show? Jesus. I'm sorry, Mayor.
Liz Feld, yay!
I mean, Mayor Lanza, I do appreciate when I retired, you were the mayor. And I do appreciate that you and your board, named the police boat in my honor. And I want to thank you again for that. You can clap. Go ahead, clap. Mayor Lanza, you did that for me.
I just want to say one thing, Chief.
You're going to have your turn.
I heard Mayor Sabolt is torpedoing that boat in May.
Oh, well, look, I told you no politics, Joe. No politics. Okay, we started off, we got past one name already. Okay, we got 29 more. All right? Here we go. No clapping. If anybody clapped the chiefs, I got all my police chiefs over there. You guys are going to have to stand up and start monitoring the room. They're all my guys. All right. Okay. We got past Liz Feld. Next, Jerry Logan.
I know him.
Former mayor of Village of Portchester. Boy, I tell you, I get no respect up here. Judge John Calan. Yay! Judge Calan's a great guy. We have Dan Colangelo, his brother, ex-executive director of the Portchester Housing. We have our own Peter Mustick, the superintendent of Rhinebeck School. I tell you what, everybody clap after each name. Stay here till 1 o'clock in the morning. Okay, next, Anthony Siligato, the comptroller town of Mamaroneck. Now I want to name these very distinguished, I was going to say distinguished. Hey, Mayor Lanza, I'll tell you something.
Joe, put him out.
I'll tell you, I'm not going to let you talk. How do you like that? Okay. We have three ex-mayors present with us, and I have to say Paul Noto, Mayor Paul Noto, former Mayor Paul Noto. I have to tell you, Mayor Noto, unfortunately, you only had one police chief in your whole career, so that's your problem, that was me. Now we also have Mayor Joe Lanza, who I retired with. And we have ex-mayor Debbie Chapin. And of course, the greatest mayor of all, Susie Oppenheimer. Lieutenant Chris Leahy, Honorable Dan Gallagher of the Village Justice. Now, here comes all the former trustees of the Village of Mamaroneck. Oh. Ooh. Okay. Of course, nobody ever heard of this guy. Ex-trustee Joe Angeletta. Bill Panessa. Tony Boza. Christy Derrico. My man Mike Sedano. Martha Sokol McCarty. Storm and Norman Rosenblum. Archie Giannunzio. Dan Natchez. Bess Hofstetter. Pete McConnell. Will all those trustees please stand up? Stand up. Come on. I didn't miss him, Joe.
Hey, look,
I'm good at what I do, Joe. I'm good at, hey, Joe, I used to cross you across the school
No, he
before,
can't
Joe.
hear anymore.
Oh,
He
it's,
doesn't hear
But
well.
I remember that, Joe. I do remember.
He doesn't hear well.
all right, excuse me, I have my personal arguments with these mayors and all this. Boom. That's what we went through when we worked for them. Okay. We go on. If I missed any of you, I'm sorry. Now, they're not my cousins. I don't know them. You want to come on up and take a dance? Take a bow. What the hell? Okay. We also have Ed Murray, the commander of American Legion Post number 90. Now, we have a couple of requested speakers. So at this time, I want to call up my friend, despite all the kiddings, because I really love him, Mayor Joe Lanza.
Thank you, Joseph.
Oh,
Yeah, we kissed and all that, but it's a lot of bull, whatever. I have to say this. I'm going to say this to you, Joe. I'm going to tell you right now in front of all of these people. When I was a trustee, Joe used to say, I love you, this, that, the other thing. He used to hug me all the time.
can't hear you.
When I was a trustee, is that better? Good, I'm happy. Joe used to tell me, I love you, you're a great guy, you're this, you're that, and the other thing. And then he became mayor. And Joe said to me, I'd like to speak with you. Okay, Joe, we'll speak. And he comes down to my office and he said, I'm going to retire. I said, you know, Joe, that's really great. You're telling me you love me. You're telling me all this thing, I become the mayor of the village, and you're going to retire. And he did retire. He kept his word. But I got to say, Joe Del Bianco was probably the best chief this village ever had. Okay, he's that my guy, Joe. I love him. I love you, Joe. I love you. I want to mention a couple of things, especially about Lenny. First of all, Fritz, I know that Lenny always wanted to emulate you. He always told me, I want to be Fritz, I want to be Fritz. I said, you can't be Fritz, you're taller than Fritz. You can't be Fritz. But anyway, the both of you are exactly the same. And I think the both of you did the same job for both communities, Portchester and in Mamaroneck.
I want to say that I met Lenny when I think we were about 10 years old at Don Bosco Day Camp. I don't know if anybody remembers that. The old Don Bosco Day Camp. And Lenny and I met and like kind of hit it off. We had the same kind of personalities. And we started talking, and Lenny said, "Well, where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from American Square." He said, "I live in Halsted Avenue." I said, after the war, my mother and father and brothers and sisters bought this apartment building, and we all grew up there. I said, it was a great, great life. I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. There were 6 families. Every night we ate at somebody else's apartment, and it was just great. It was a great way to grow up. I said, "Len, where are you from?" He said, "Well, I'm from Portchester." I said, "Whereabouts?" He said, "Fox Island." I said, "Oh my God, this guy must be a millionaire." You guys in Portchester will appreciate this. Right? This guy's got to be a millionaire coming from Fox Island. I went home, I told my father, I said, "Dad, I met this guy today at the camp. He's from Fox Island and whatever." He said, "He must have a lot of money." Well, later Lenny told me that.
Can't hear you.
Later, can you hear me now? Okay. Later, Lenny told me that Fox Island was the same thing as Halsted Avenue where I grew up. Same kind of apartment, same kind of deal. After the war, their family bought an apartment building. They lived in the apartment building same way as we did, with his cousins. A couple of years later, we both got jobs at Rye Town Park in Portchester. Now, I met Lenny again there, and I gotta tell you this, I gotta tell you what Lenny's first job was. He probably doesn't want me to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. His first job at Rye Town Park was scraping the pigeon dung off the pavilion. Is that true, Lenny? With me. But see, I was twice as lucky as him because after I got finished with Lenny, they put me with Johnny Branca, who was a former mayor of Portchester. They put me with Branca, and Branca and I had to go clean the dung out of the pond, the goose dung out of the pond. I can see Lenny up on the roof on the pavilion looking down, laughing at us. But we did have some great times there. We really did. And there were quite a few guys, it was interesting that there were quite a few guys that worked at Rye Town Park at that time, and we were probably about 14 years old, that became officials in villages. I was thinking about this the other day, how strange this was. We had Rusty, what was it, Rusty Rich? Rusty Rich was became the postmaster of the village of Portchester. We had Carl Verrastro. Where's Carl? There he is. Who became the chief of police in Portchester. Joe, where's Joe? He was very close to you, Joe. In what his type of his style. Then we had Billy Verrastro's Lenny's brother, right, who became a detective there, the chief detective there. And again, this is all from Rye Town Park. We had Johnny Branca, who worked there, who became the mayor of the village of Portchester. We had Donnie Joffrey there, who became the supervisor of the town of Rye. Lenny became the village manager in Mamaroneck, and I was the mayor of the village of Mamaroneck. So we had a group of guys that all came from that area, that one job, that became officials of the village. Now, I've got to say this, because Fritz, you mentioned the point about being village manager quite a few times, interim village manager, and Lenny did also. He did it a couple of times when I was there. I went to Lenny and I said, "Lenny, how much more money do you want to be the village manager?" Because he was clerk treasurer and village manager. And he would say to me, "I don't want any more money. I'll do it for the salary that I do, the village clerk at." And I admire you for that, Lenny. I really do. because it wasn't for money, it was for his love of the village. And Lenny gave continuity to our village. Officials, mayors, they come and they go, but there was always Lenny. If you ever had a question, you went to Lenny. So Lenny, I thank you for that. I also want to thank his lovely wife, Linda, for giving us all those late nights, Lenny, that we spent in the office. God knows if Linda was home cursing you out, whatever, I don't know. But all I know is we were there and we were working for many, many, many hours. Lenny is probably, for me, the most respected guy that I've worked with in politics. His integrity, his honesty, his doing his job, his ability to let me bounce things off of him, and he'd give me the right answer all the time. Outstanding person. This is probably one of the greatest losses this village has ever had, the village of Leonard. I have to say that. One of the greatest losses. And again, Lenny and his wife, two finer people you will never meet. They are top shelf people. Before I go, I just want to say one thing. And this is something that Lenny used to say to me when I used to go into Village Hall, and I used to be like, why am I doing this? You know, type of thing. And Lenny used to say to me, this is a saying that is now out. I've seen it on different posters, but Lenny used to say this to me back then. And his saying was, when I came in and I felt dejected, and I felt, like I said, why am I doing this? Why am I here? And Lenny would say, life is not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. And no truer words were ever said. Lenny, I love you. You've been a great guy. I've known you for 48 years. To me, you're top shelf. You're the best.
Holy smokes. I'll tell you, it pays to be a pooper scooper. All right, Marianne, you're all right, kid. Okay. Before I make any other introductions, I'm going to take advantage of this because I'm here, and I'm the Master of Ceremonies right now, and I'm the Executive Director of Westchester Police Chiefs, and I got my boys here. So we have a presentation to make, but this is something you people probably never knew because we never published it anyway. Lenny has been the accountant for the Police Chiefs Association since 1983. He's always been a part of the Westchester Police Chiefs Association. And he did this because of our friendship, and he got to know all the guys, and he's considered one of us. So at this time, I want to call up Chief Joseph Bonifico, who's our president. He's the Chief of Pelham. Come on up, Joe. We have Chief John Costanzo. He's the first Vice President of the Tuckahoe Police Department. Come on up, John. We have Chief Jimmy Warren. He's He's the immediate past president from Sleepy Hollow. And we got the other hometown chief from Portchester, Chief Joe Krasminski, Board of Directors. And I saved this one for last because he always does a number on me at every meeting. Now, this is the star of Channel 12 News. And I have the honor and the pleasure of introducing Chief Dave Hall of Harrison, member of the Board of Directors.
Garden spot of Westchester County, Harrison here.
Is that it, Dave? That's it. Ooh, I got it way good. Come on up, Glenn. And you know, I neglected to call another member of our association. He's retired, and it's Chief Carl Verrastro. Carl, are you here? Yeah, he's there. Chief Verrastro, come on out. I want to turn it over to our president, Chief Joseph Benefico Appellant. Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Joe told me this was his retirement party. That's the reason why I was here. And my speech is all geared for that, so I apologize. I'm going to have to sort of wing it a little bit. One thing I did learn tonight is if I do retire in the near future, I want to work for in around Wrightown Park. Because it seems like you get ahead there. This is from the Westchester County Chiefs of Police, presented to Leonard Verrastro, Village Manager of Mamaroneck, very briefly, for his outstanding dedication and service to our association. From myself, Joe Del Bianco, and all of the chiefs in Westchester County. Len, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So I thought we were supposed to have a horse with the clock in its stomach.
That's Krasminski from Portchester. What do you know? Portchester writes this. Let me tell you something. When they're from Portchester, they're a very strange group. They are. No matter where they move to, they always go back to Portchester. They do. No matter where they move, they always go back to Portchester. Okay, you know what I'd like to do now? Joe, do you want to say some more? Okay, I thought you wanted to say.
I just did Portchester mentality.
Yeah, okay, Portchester mentality. Very good. Okay, Joe. At this time, I just want to say, before we take a break, and the band comes back, we're going to take a short break before we make the other introductions, which are going to be extremely short, I hope. And what I'd like to say is, the other day I was shoveling snow in front of my house, and Mike Sedano walked by, and we were talking about Lenny's retirement. And Joe, and Mike said, Joe, he says, let me tell you something about Lenny. He says, Lenny is a gentleman. He says, he's not a gentleman. He says, he's a gentle man. And I think that really says it all. We'll appreciate it, because Lenny says he wants to go on with the program and finish it, and that's what we're going to do. So, in the meanwhile, Randy and his staff at this club here, I tell you, I think they did a super duper job. Really. Oh, and I want one thing. You know how everybody keeps saying, you know, Lenny keeps saying that he's had more people at his dinner than Fritz? I got news for you. I had more people at mine than Lenny. Okay. Okay. I'm going to continue with the introductions. Can I have your attention, please? You're being very rude. I tell it like it is, Mary, my favorite redhead over there. I'll tell you, she's breaking up anyway. Okay, further introduction. He twisted my arm too. Stormin Norman Rosenblum, ex-trustee, wants to say a few words about Lenny. And he said he's going to be brief.
And for Joe D. Very quick, it's time for the truth. The fact of the matter is, approximately 28 years ago, I got a call from Joe Frioli. He said, Norm, do me a favor. I'm trying to hire this guy to be the clerk treasurer. I want you to come with me to his house and convince him they should accept the position. Great, so we drive down Post Road, ring the doorbell, door opens up, and his German Shepherd comes flying out at us. I thought they were setting me up. Then Joe said he's probably negotiating for a higher contract. Through his years and experience, he actually came on board and became his mentor was, in essence, the village dramatic Joe Frioli, who I personally believe is also one of the best and dedicated village managers we ever had. And being quite truthful, I think that seeing what happened to Joe Frioli, Lenny was very smart, and he survived for 28 years, and that's why he did not become the manager until he got his contract. So I congratulate him on this. And to cut it short, because I don't want to take up Joe Lanz's, there's a story that's going around. Everyone knows that he's an expert golfer. And to demonstrate what a great negotiator he really is, to protect the innocent, his foursome always went down to Hilton Head, South Carolina every year to play golf. Of course, after a while, the different wives and partners and everything else made plans, and it was very hard for them to get together and go down. And this past summer, they said, look, for 30 years we've been going down and we're not doing it anymore. No matter what it costs us, we swear we'll get together and we're going to go down to Hilton Head. They said, fine. So sure enough, the week before Christmas, they're in the first hole at Hilton Head, and all four guys show up and they're hugging each other. Oh, this is great. And the first friend, I'll protect the innocent, I won't say anything, just use Lenny's name. He said, yeah, but it was very expensive to come down here. He says, my wife is home, she doesn't care I'm here, because she's reading brochures on a 3-month cruise that I have to take her on when I get back. The second buddy says, you think that's fair? Decided to buy her a $20,000 diamond, and now she's in Bloomingdale's buying clothes to go with it. And his third buddy says, you guys got away cheap. My wife's home reading the brochures on a brand new Rolls Royce that's sitting in the driveway. Lenny doesn't say anything. It's Lenny, how much did it cost you? He said, it didn't cost me anything. He says, don't tell us that. Well, what did you do? It's impossible to cost. We spent almost all our money. It was very simple. I woke up in the morning, I rolled over, and I said to Linda, God, what a beautiful day. Sex or golf? She said, don't forget your swim. So, to Lenny, I just want to say, I was that long, you are one of the best managers that the village ever had. I'm glad to call you a friend. We will continue the emails every day, and enjoy your retirement. And I'll use my old favorite adage, may you live as long as you want, never want as long as you live.
Thanks, Norman. Thank you very much. I'd like to acknowledge that there's a table from the CSEA that's present, and John Carpino, the president, is here. John, where are you? All right, John, thanks for being here. The fire department is here with its chief, Chief Kevin Dellner. Chief, I understand you want to make a presentation. Could you come on up with whoever you like? And I have...
Where's Fritz? Fritz, we need you again.
It's right here.
No, I need this. Yeah. Thank you. Look, we'll be quick. I don't know anybody in Portchester. I didn't realize there were many people there. But Lenny, you've done a lot for the fire department. On a personal note, I had the pleasure of sitting on a committee that chose you, as Joe Lanza said. That was one of the greatest selections, I think, in the village of Mamaroneck. And what didn't get stated was you far surpassed all the other candidates. You were a great choice, but most importantly, you epitomized what I see every night when I come home on the sign, that this is a friendly village. And we had a friendly manager, Lenny Verrastro. I think that that was most important, so I thank you. But the department wanted to present you with this plaque. And it said, presented with great honor by the current and past members of the Village of Mamaroneck Fire Department to Leonard Verrastro for his many years of dedicated and committed service to this organization. Without your efforts, our ability to protect the public would have been compromised. On this grand occasion of your retirement from the Village of Mamaroneck, we present this plaque to you as a token of our appreciation. And note that on this day, January 23, 2009, Leonard Verrastro is the honorary chief of the Mamaroneck Fire Department.
One quick note. In April of 2007, we probably faced our worst disaster in the last 100 years. Lenny was instrumental in helping us get through everything with the state, federal government. Very smartly, Chief Castrello made me work nights. So Dean and Barry got to work with Lenny during the day, but I know it was tireless effort, and it's reflected on everything he's done for the village over the last 20 plus years. Thank you.
Thank you, Fire Chief. As usual, I'll tell you, being a member of the police department for many years, we are so proud of our fire department, and we've always gotten along super well because they do one hell of a job. And thank you guys, really, really, you do some job. And I'd like to also bring to your attention the speaker. He was an ex-fire chief, but he also was a member of our association as Major Mike Copey of the State Police. We also have a group here from the Mamaroneck PBA. I see them right back there, guys. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks a lot. Also, we have former supervisor Paul Ryan of the town of Mamaroneck. We have our village prosecutor, the Honorable Joseph Notaro. We also have Ben Salanitro. He's the superintendent of works of Scarsdale, New York. And you know, Lenny, that about does it for me. So now, it's your turn. Oh no, hold on, 1 minute. I have to do this. I would like for the three girls to stand up. Sally Roberts, Sharon Hyder, and Kathy Monahan. Please stand up. They did all the work. They did all the work. They did a super, super job, and I know they all love Lenny. How about throwing one to me, huh? Okay, Lenny, it's your turn in the barrel, babe.
I never thought I'd get the microphone tonight between Fritz and the chief. The only good news is my brother Billy V didn't get up to talk tonight. It would have been a three-way fight for the microphone. I'd just like to thank everybody here tonight, my friends, relatives, colleagues, the village staff, and other officials for coming out tonight. I'm very touched by the turnout to celebrate my retirement. I thank everyone for their kind words. And I'd just like to say, I can't believe how quickly the 28 years have gone by. It seems like only yesterday I started at the village, but I looked a little different 28 years ago. Actually, I think as Susie or somebody mentioned, I had applied for an ad that was in the Daily Times. I didn't really know anybody in Mamaroneck. I could probably count them on one hand. I knew my Uncle Pete Colangelo and my Aunt Millie Lanza were from Mamaroneck. My cousin Lenny Colangelo, one of the Royal Jacks from Mamaroneck, and his sister Jerry. And Joe Lanza, who we met at Don Bosco Center and Rytown Park. That was about it. But fortunately, I applied for the job, and on a cold night in January 1981, Mayor Susie Oppenheimer and the Board of Trustees appointed me as their clerk treasurer. The trustees at the time were Bob Funicello, Norman Rosenblum, who spoke earlier, the late Gary Bastian, who passed away, and Arthur O'Neill. And just to put the 28 years in perspective, it has encompassed attending approximately 900 Board of Trustees meetings, and many of them were brutal, let me tell you. That's not counting the other boards, commissions, and committees over the years, the friggin' tree committee, the absolutely horrible budget committee, who still don't have a clue of what goes on in the village. Do you really need a new pickup truck? It's only 20 years old. Can't you get by another year? Well, maybe the floorboards rotted out. And they'll ask 200 questions. How much is the maintenance? How much is this? Do you really need it? No, we just like to put it in the budget once in a while just to see if we can catch you in the... All my department heads do a great job with the budget. While I've been clerk treasurer, acting manager, and village manager, many of the department heads live in the village of Mamaroneck, and they're just as concerned about your taxes as you are. I've worked with 7 mayors, starting with Susie, who appointed me. Susie was a minority mayor. At the time, it was 3-2 Republican. Fortunately, I was enrolled Republican. I'm sure they checked my registration when I got appointed. Then when Susie got elected to the Senate, Bob Funicello filled in a short time, and then my good friend Paul Motor was elected as mayor, followed by Joe Lanza, and it was really unbelievable that Joe and I knew each other from such a long time ago. And it was true. Joe said it was pigeon dung, it was pigeon shit. We were scraping at the pavilion. Joe McRae gave us 2 cutting knives and said, go out and scrape all day.
You did a hell of a job, let me tell you.
I don't know if Debbie Chapin's still here. I had Debbie as mayor. great sense of humor, we got along great. Phil Trifoletti, and finally Mayor Kathy Sabo, who also she didn't mention we're Iona College alumni.
Don't forget to mention there were 3 Sicilian mayors in a row.
Joe wanted me to point out we had 3 Sicilian mayors in a row. Also, I serve for, believe it or not, 32 trustees. I just want to take a minute and just show you how the Mamaroneck politics work. I just want to read off the names very quick. When I started, again, it was Gary Bastian, Arthur O'Neill, Bob Funicello, Norm Rosenblum. Then Archie Giannunzio, Beth Hofstetter, and Jesse Silverstein. Then we had Peter Agliardo Jr. and Rosemary Lindini. Todd Noble, Tony Bergola Ryan, and Walter Rogers. Then we had the Babes, Kate Weingarten, June Oppinger, and Beth. That was one of my good March elections. Then we had Joe Lanza, Jenny Neumeister, and Martha McCarty. Steve Goldstein, back again, Archie Giannunzio. Mike Sedano and Phil Trifoletti. Then we had Ives Nathan, who wasn't there too long, filled in by Tom Murphy. Guy Zariga, Kathy Sabo, Pete McConnell, and Bill Panessa. Then Christy Derrico, the tide turned again. Christy Derrico, Tony Vosa, and Joey the Sheriff Angeletta. Then we had John Hofstetter, again, Tony Bergola Ryan, and finally Randy Rabinowitz. So, 32 trustees, amazingly enough, only 4 village managers, which was quite amazing. And strangely enough, Joe Frioli was my longest village manager, 9 years. And then, we know where the real power lies. We only had 3 police chiefs. When I first got hired, Lou LaFerry was there. Then I had the pleasure of serving with my good friend, Chief Joe Del Bianco, and currently Chief Ed Flynn. Another statistic you may not know, my average weight gain while I've been with the village, it's averaged out to 2 pounds per year. So you can just figure out the math, take that times 28. Unfortunately, I just missed the new ethics law that was just passed. I'm sure that would have calmed down the number of power lunches I had over the last 28 years. Thank God I asked Janet, our new village attorney, it's not going into effect till after I retire. When I came to the village 28 years ago, I had a few nicknames. Gloria Rikicki in the chief's office used to call me Serpento. Ann Wright, who's Bud Wright's wife, our assessor, used to call me Al Pacino. Liz Covington, our nutrition director, had another nickname for me, the Italian Stallion. But now, as I leave the village, I now look more like Dom DeLuise or Bill Ives. I would also like to thank the board that had the confidence and faith in me to serve as their village manager. They appointed me back November 1st, 1983. Unfortunately, Mayor Trifoletti couldn't be here tonight. Phil called me to extend his best wishes, but also on that board, I had our Deputy Mayor, William Wild Bill Panessa, Antonio Tony Vosa, Christy Derrico, and Joe the Sheriff Angeletta. It may just be coincidence, but all our names ended in vowels. I truly believe I've been fortunate by growing up in the village of Portchester, and as mentioned earlier, hanging out at the Don Bosco Center. I think it led us, many of us, on a good straight path. And also, in addition, I've had the pleasure of working for most of my adult life in the village of Mamaroneck. And last of all, I think Mayor Fell left. I think she would have loved this, that I've had the opportunity to live in the 11th best village in the United States, the village of Larchmont. Friends I have made in Portchester growing up are friends for life. And many of them are here tonight, which I am truly privileged to have here tonight. And a special friend to me, who happened to marry my cousin, is Mike Randazzo. Mike has done much in keeping us together over the years. Mike owns Portchester Auto Body in Portchester, a competitor of Joe Angeletta, East Coast Auto Body. But Mike, for the last 25 years, has organized a golf outing where males only get the opportunity to go on a 3-day golf excursion up in the Catskills. We started out at the Concord, that subsequently closed. For the last few years, we've been going to Villaroma. We arranged it to go up by bus. We have a nice time. This past year, I had a missing. My uncle died, and it was a toss-up whether I'd go to Villaroma or my uncle's wake. But as they say, and we have said, what happens in Villaroma stays in Villaroma. I've also made many new friends in Mamaroneck, such as my good buddy, Chief Joe Del Bianco, Al Perone, Tommy Pareto that's here, my co-chairman with the Harbor Fest, Jen Graziano, her dad, Vinny Graziano, and many others. And I'd also like to thank Mayor Susie Oppenheimer and Mayor Paul Noto. They always encouraged me and supported my involvement in outside professional associations. As Fritz mentions, the Westchester County Municipal Officials, New York State Clerks Association, and the New York State Conference of Mayors. Regarding NICOM, Fritz and I still are amazed with their legislative agenda. Some of you may not really get this, but for 28 years, we've been hearing, please repeal the Wicks law. It's never going to happen, believe me. The other one is restore the revenue sharing formula. That's not going to happen either, believe me. Unless things change in Albany, it's going to be business as usual. Through NICOM, I've had the opportunity to meet many people from all over New York State, such as my good friend that Fritz introduced earlier, John the Pope Pius, from the very small but powerful village of the Ferry. I remember when I first met the Pope, I said, Pope, what's the population of the Ferry? He said, less than 1,000. And there was another mayor there, he said, wow, 100,000, I can't believe it. But I got to know Kate and John Pius, good friends and friends I've met for the rest of my life. Also, Bruce Cadman, General Code Publishers. Bruce is not only a vendor that supports the village, but is a good friend. I also want to thank our Department of Public Works, Police Department, and Fire Department for all their help and cooperation, especially as was mentioned during the March and April 2007 devastating floods we had in the village of Mamaroneck. Also, my gratitude goes out at the time now ex-Chief Barry Castarella, that headed up our Incident Command Center. And ex-Chief Michael Copey, that for the first flood took charge and got us acquainted with NIMS. The village is very fortunate in this day and age as one of the few communities in Westchester and on the Sound Shore to still have an all-volunteer fire department. My hat goes off to you and your family. Also, the village is very fortunate and blessed to have volunteers who are here tonight, such as Bob Galvin, who's been putting in 20 years with our planning board. Bob, I always try to get you a little salary, but it's not going to happen. Also, Carl Alterman, who served with Coastal Zone, Harbor Commission, and the Planning Board. It's amazing the time they dedicate to the village. I would also like to thank Rob Yamuda, my assistant village manager, these past 5 years. Rob, along with my Sharon Hyder, my executive secretary, have been both my right and my left hand for these 5 years. People first elected are on the budget committee. Ask, what do they do? I just want to answer them, they do everything and anything. I also want to thank Augie Fusco, who's here tonight, my clerk treasurer, for bringing up to date all the village's financial reporting and implementing, none of you will understand this, compliance with GASB 34 and 35, but Augie got it done for us. I want to thank the CSEA and PBA that are here tonight for working through any labor issues we had with my office, always on a very professional and very nice level. I gotta wrap it up very soon because my Gumbarid, Ernie Morbido's getting restless sitting there. I want to thank all my department heads for their support and the village staff, especially Tony Accavelli. Tony has one of the toughest jobs in the village, trying to keep our 18,000 residents happy with potholes, street lights out, streets are icy. Tony does an excellent job, and I'd like to thank him for his support. I would also like to thank the committee for putting this party together. And lastly, I want to thank my wife, Lynn. Who's put up with all these 900 board meetings. My daughter, Lisa, my son-in-law, Bill. And finally, my pin-up girl for the Village of Mamaroneck, garbage and recycling calendar, my granddaughter, Leonard. You've seen her grown up with the last 5 years' calendars. I don't know if she'll be on it next year, but that's up to the new village manager. I want to wish the village well, and good luck to the new village manager. They'll need it. And now it's time to enjoy the party. Thank you very much.
Thank you, it's well deserved. Lenny, my friend, welcome to the club. On behalf of everyone here, there's a little card for you. Sally will see you on Monday and give you the appropriate gift that goes along with that card. Again, thank you all for attending. Let's give Lenny a good round of applause.
Just one other thing I forgot to mention. I just want to thank all my cousins and relatives for coming here. The Bonacore family here, which are actually my adopted relatives through Linda. Bonacore means good heart. My Colangelo representatives from the village of Portchester. And unfortunately, I got my cousin Carl here representing the Verrastros. And my good friend Captain George Diani. And my main man Nick. Thank you very much.